Spice fam, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another video. Today I will be showing you how I make puff pastry from scratch, and also I will just be doing some minced beef puff pastry. So if you're interested, keep watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, put on your post notification bell so you don't miss an upload. Let's get into this video. Hi guys, so to start off our puff pastry dough, I know I would have done that before in a previous video, but that video is extremely long and thought I just do it separately so that way you can see how I do it from scratch. Alright, so the first thing we are going to do, we want to make sure that all our ingredients are extremely cold. And here I have my flour, and don't you worry, the correct measurement and everything will be in the description box below. So I have my flour, which I had in my freezer, as well as my fats, which is some margarine or butter if you have that, and as well as some shortening or lard. And I have my extremely cold water. I have here some salt for flavor, and the utensils you'll need would be a rolling pin, as you can see here. Of course, you need some plastic wraps, which basically you would need to wrap the puff pastry dough and allow it to rest. So let's begin. We are first going to start off by adding the salt to the cold water, and you want to make sure that your water is extremely cold, and simply mix it in until it's dissolved. So I will do that and come back to show you the next step. So here is the salt mixture, or salt water I should say, and I did add in a couple cubes of ice, simply because it's very hot today and you don't want to be working in humid conditions. You want to make sure that everything is very cold. So as I said, the correct measurement will be in the description box below. So I did add it in just to keep the water as cold as it can get. Alright, so I'm going to set that aside, and then next we're going to quickly move on to mixing in our fats to our flour. So as I said, I have my flour here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use a larger bowl. So here's my bowl that I'm going to use, and I'm first going to start off by adding in the flour. And as I said, you want to work really quickly, because especially if you're living in a very warm or humid area. So once I add all the flour in here, I'm next going to go in with my fats, and if you can see here, the butter has somewhat started melting. As I said, it's very hot today. Alright, so that's why you would want to freeze your fats, just to make sure that everything is nice and solid. So what you want to do is to use it, sorry I started before saying it, but you want to basically use your fingertips to more or less coat the fats with the flour, the cold flour. Right, so you just want to coat it. If you can, you just simply break it. Now mine is extremely hard because I did have it freezing for a minute, but yeah, you want to do that. Now with this particular puff pastry, you can do it well in advance, just to make sure that you know, when you're ready for it, you simply take it out, and then you can always leave it on your countertop. So I'm just breaking through as fast as I can. So put that on your countertop for a couple hours before use, and you should be fine. Alright, so I'm just going to mix it up and come back to show you the next step. Okay, so this is what it's looking like. So next I'm just going to go in with my water. And as I said, you want to really work quickly with this. With this homemade puff pastry dough, you can make things like beef patty or beef puff pastry, cheese puff pastry, any kind of puff pastry really that is savory. So let's continue. So this is what the pastry dough is looking like so far. I'm just going to add in a little bit more water. Now you don't want it too sticky, and if it is sticky, you just simply add in just a little bit more flour, so you want to have extra on the side. So what I'm going to do next is to place it onto my countertop. Sorry, I kind of move away. Place it onto my countertop, and I will show you the next step. So let's go. So to my countertop, I'm just adding a little bit of flour here, and as I said, you want to have that extra flour on hand, simply because you just might need some, especially when you're rolling out the dough. So I am now going to just simply place this onto the countertop. Now I know it looks like a hot mess, but once it comes together, it will be definitely fine. So what we're going to do, we are going to form this into a ball. So you want to take your hands like this. As I said, if it's too sticky, you simply add a little bit of flour, just to make sure that you know, it comes together nicely. And once it comes to a ball, we are going to allow it to rest for about 15 minutes in our fridge, or in the refrigerator I should say. So this is what it's looking like so far. I'm just picking up as much of the flour here as I can, just pressing it like so. And as I said, it's a dough that you really want to work quickly with. So I just have a piece of wrap right here, and when you're wrapping your, let me put it a little bit closer, when you're wrapping your dough, you want to make sure that it's properly sealed, and that is because you do not want any moisture to get in. All right, because you want it to be nicely sealed and nicely rested. So the reason why we are allowing the dough to sit for 15 minutes in our refrigerator is so that the gluten in the flour can develop to give us a really nice dough. All right, so this is what it's looking like so far. Yeah, just want to make sure that it's nicely secure. So this is what it's looking like so far. So I'm going to rest it in the refrigerator, as I said, and I'm going to put my timer on for 15 minutes. And once that 15 minutes is up, I will come back and we will take it from there. So after about 15 minutes, our dough is ready. I'm just going to put some more flour onto the countertop and just roll it like that. Spread it like that, I should say. And I'm just going to remove the dough from the wrapper. So this is what our dough is looking like. And we are going to form it into a rectangular shape. All right, so I'm going to just take my rolling pin, just add some of that flour onto it like so. I'm going to just drizzle a little bit all over here. And we are going to roll, we are going to roll this out. Just bring it a little bit closer so you can see what I'm doing. So sometimes, because it's the fats are a bit frozen, especially the shortening, you just want to make sure, you see, that's what we're talking about. Just want to make sure that you knock it a little bit before you go down. And then just simply go down, and as I said, you want a rectangular shape. Right, so that's what we want. So with this puff pastry dough, it's going to take a lot of work. So you have to put a lot of muscles and a lot of sweat into this, but at the end, or in the end, it will be worth it. So I will continue to do this and come back when it's smooth so that we can start doing the folding process. Okay fam, so this is our progress so far. So don't you worry if your dough is coming apart. I actually did a fold already, but don't worry if your dough is coming apart. You simply just squeeze it back in. That is because, remember, we have clumps of fat in there, so it definitely will tend to tear a little bit, but that's okay. So I would have done my first fold, so I'm just going to do the second one. You see that? That's the fat exposed, and you want to make sure that you put a little bit of flour, and then we're going to do the next side like so, just like so, and then you want to work on that dough. I just thought I'd come on to show you the progress that we are making. So as I said, this is something you want to do well in advance if you want to create a larger batch, or you have family and friends coming over, simply because it takes time. It takes a lot of time. You have to put in a lot of time and muscle in there. So I will continue and come back to show you when it's almost done. Spice fam, this is what our dough is looking like so far. So you want it to be in a nice rectangular square, as you can see here, and I'm pretty much finished with it. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to do the final fold, and you want to take your pastry brush and brush off any excess. I forgot to take mine, so yeah, but you want to take the pastry brush and brush off the excess and then give it a nice fold, just like this, just like so, and like this. And here you have your perfect puff pastry dough from scratch. You see that? So next, what we're going to do, because we are going to be using it, or I should say, if you're going to be using it now, you want to wrap it and place it into your fridge, for as long as you want it, or you can basically put it in your freezer for overnight, take it out the next day, and do the good stuff. So I will wrap it and come back to show you. So this is what our puff pastry dough is looking like. Alright, so I am going to put it back to rest, and I will come back to show you the next step, because I'm going to show you how I use it to make my chicken patty or chicken puff pastry, if you will. So see you in a bit. So here I am simply showing you how I do some sauteed ground or minced chicken. I simply add in my garlic, onion, seasoned minced chicken, and simply move it around the pot until it's well coated. Then I simply add in some I think it's Worcestershire sauce, and then add in my salt and everything, and then allow it to saute for a few minutes, and voila, I have my filling. So while or after my filling has been cooled, I simply remove my pastry dough from the fridge, or the refrigerator I should say, and I simply just place it onto a lightly foiled countertop and roll it out. Here I was basically pointing out the fact that you can see bits and pieces of the fats in the pastry dough. Now you want to roll it out not too thin, but just enough so that there is enough space, and I'm using my cup because I do not have a shape of that size to basically get it equal. So I'm going to do that as you see here and get back to you. So I did roll out this one a little bit bigger, simply because I find the dough was a little bit on the thick side. I did not want it too thick, and here I am just adding in some of that chicken filling. Now this puff pastry dough can be used for anything, such as your cheese pastry, any kind of pastry really. It can be used, once it's savory, it can be used for that. So when you're adding in your filling, you don't want to put in too much. For this particular one, I'm just going to make it in a nice little banana shape, I think, and I am now going to take some water and place it around the perimeter of the pastry, just so that it's nicely sealed and nothing escapes. So you want to be careful with that. So when I did that, I'm just pressing my hands to the edge just to make sure that it's sealed in. Then I will use a fork and basically make my impressions there as well. Once I would have finished making the puff pastry or the chicken puff pastries, I place it into my freezer for about 15 to 20 minutes just so it can be frozen. That way it's nice and cold when it goes into the oven, and that your fat don't melt. So I did, once it came out, I did apply some egg wash to the top of it to give it a nice golden brown color, and place it into a preheated oven at 400 degrees for roughly 30 to 35 minutes, and of course that depends on the oven being used. Once it was finished baking, I removed it from the oven, allowed it to cool, and this is the final plating. I really do hope that you did enjoy today's video. Don't forget to comment and let us know. See you in the next one. Bye bye.